Good morning students, welcome back to your physics online class. After this semester break, we are here for starting the chapter number 4, motion in a plane. This is the new chapter number 4, motion in a plane. Before we have completed the three chapters, chapter number 1, chapter number 2 and chapter number 3. The chapter number 3 was motion in a straight line. Motion in a straight line means the body may move towards positive direction of x-axis or negative direction of x-axis. It may move towards positive direction of y-axis or negative direction of y-axis. It may move towards positive direction of z-axis or negative direction of z-axis. Suppose this is xyz axis with this origin. So finally, in one-dimensional motion, bodies has just chance to get two directions. In a straight line, moving in a straight line, it has just chance to move in two direction, positive or negative with respect to the reference point. ठीक है ना? ऐसा नहीं कि body should move always towards x, y or z axis. It is your assumption, it is our assumption or convenience to use the reference point with a coordinate system. जब भी बॉडी किसी स्ट्रेट पाथ पे चल रही होती है और in a plane or in a space, we just draw a Cartesian system for marking its reference point. ठीक है? So come to the point. So in a straight line, body may move towards two direction, just has chance to move in two direction. Now when the body is moving in a plane, for example, now see, this copy is in xy plane. In which plane? xy plane. अब देखो, now this marker or pen is moving randomly along this direction or along this direction or along this direction or along this direction, in any direction in this plane. So in a plane, the body has chance to move in many directions. Straight line में क्या था? It may move towards positive or negative. एक straight path पे negative or positive. But when the body is moving in this plane, it may have chance to move in different directions. See, many directions are there. Many possible directions are there for body's motion in a plane. So this is in xy plane. Acha. Now what is this plane? Name this plane. This is z-axis. This is z-axis. And this is x-axis. So this diary or copy is in z-x plane. Now this is new plane, that is yz plane. So yeah, randomly you can mark another plane also. New plane. See this new plane for the motion of the body. Body may move in any direction in this plane. Any direction means many directions are there, not just two. So this is the motion in a plane. So to understand and to deal the motion of the body in plane, we have to introduce here the quantity vector quantities. First of all, we have to see vector quantities and their representation, their characteristics, their types. Because without knowing vectors, we can't deal a motion of the body in plane or in space also. Okay, so let's start here the vectors. We have to understand here, we have to study here first vectors. Then we will be able to understand the motion in a plane. So vectors means what? Vector quantities. In class 9th and 10th also, we have heard about this term, that is vectors. Vectors means the quantities which have magnitude as well as its direction. ये पढ़ा हुआ है क्लास 9th में कि there are two types of physical quantities, scalar and vectors. Scalars and vectors. Scalar quantities को कहते हैं, the scalars are those physical quantities which have their magnitude only. Which have their magnitude only. They are scalars. For example, distance. Distance is a scalar quantity. Speed is a scalar quantity. Time is a scalar quantity. Electric current तो बोला this is also a scalar quantity. We should see here especially electric current, because in class 10th we have drawn many circuit diagrams, electric circuit diagrams, in which we have represented the electric current. Suppose 5 ampere is the amount of current moving in this direction, and this arrow shows the direction of the current. ये बनाया हुआ है class 10th में कि this arrow shows the direction of the current in the circuit. It means current has direction also. Is it correct? Current, electric current has direction also. So why it is in scalar category? Question में बनता है यहाँ पे. Why it comes under scalar quantities? Because we have to see here the definition of vectors again. Vectors class 10th में 9th में पढ़ा हुआ है, 11th में पढ़ा हुआ है कि vectors को बोलते हैं. Vectors means what? Vectors quantities are those quantities which have their magnitude and direction both. इतना ही तो पढ़ते आए हुए हैं. So electric current has magnitude and direction both. So it should be a vector, but it comes under the scalar quantities. Why? So listen again, what is vectors? Vector quantities are those quantities which have magnitude, which have direction, and it should obey, means the quantity should obey the laws of vectors, laws of vector addition. क्या नया? We have study about vectors कि vectors are those only have magnitude and direction. So it is not sufficient, not complete definition of vectors. Now see here, what is vectors? So vector quantities are those quantities which have their magnitude, which have their direction, and also it should obey the law of vector addition. Law of vector addition. We have to understand. We have to study the laws of vector addition. So this is the vector. Okay. So electric current can be added algebraically. Electric current in the circuit can be added algebraically. It needs no specific rule for addition. So it is just a scalar quantity. But vectors are those physical quantities which cannot be added by algebraic law. Yeah, it cannot be added simply. ऐसा नहीं कि मीन्स मिल गया आपको 5 मीटर पर सेकेंड वेलोसिटी v1 and second one v2 is 10 meter per second and बोल दिया what is the resultant velocity, so 5 plus 10. It is not. We can't add the two vector quantities algebraically. ठीक है ना? We have to see their direction first, then we can add. And by adding two vectors like these two vector quantities, velocities, we should follow the laws of vector addition. Then we can find the resultant of two vectors. So this is the definition of vector quantities. Again I am repeating, vectors are those quantities, those physical quantities which have their direction, their magnitude, and they should obey the laws of vector addition. Then it will be scalar vector. Okay, so examples of vectors. Let's write some examples of vectors. By velocity, displacement, and acceleration. पढ़ा हुआ है acceleration momentum, torque, many quantities are there. These are vectors. Force also it comes under vectors, and pressure it comes under scalar. Pressure comes under scalar quantities while force comes under vector quantities. So this is the main difference between scalar and vector. क्या है main difference? The vectors या vector quantities always obeys the laws of vector addition. They cannot be added simply algebraically. They should obey or they should use the specific rule या specific law for addition and subtraction also. Okay. Now see here types of vectors. Types of vectors. Before types of vector, we should see how to represent a vector quantity. Suppose A is a vector quantity, so we represent this quantity with this arrowhead. If A is a vector quantity, so it is represented by A vector, A arrow. Arrow means vector. अगर ऐसे लिखा है तो this is the scalar quantity, and now this is vector quantity because it has direction also. Always use arrow towards this forward direction, positive direction. Don't represent vector in this way, never. This is the wrong way, this is the correct way. Always use arrow sign above the character, या कह दो above the physical quantity with arrowhead in forward direction. So this is the representation of vector quantities. Now see types of vectors. First see equal vectors. Equal vectors. Two vector quantities या two vectors are said to be equal when they have their magnitude and direction both equal. If two vector quantities have their magnitude and direction both equal, then the vectors are said to be equal. Okay? For example, this is the vector A and this is another vector B. So these two vectors are said to be equal because both have same direction and magnitude also. Suppose this is 5 unit and this is also 5 unit. Two vectors are said to be equal when both have same direction and same magnitude. The length of this arrow line shows their magnitude. Longer line means more amplitude, means magnitude. Shorter line means less magnitude. Suppose this is the C vector. So it is representing the same direction of A and B, but it is shorter line. It has shorter line means its magnitude is less than A and B. This is the representation way. If the arrow line is shorter means it has a lower magnitude. It has less magnitude comparatively to this A and B. So this is equal vectors. Equal vectors means if two vectors have same magnitude and direction, then they will be equal vectors. Next, opposite vectors. Opposite vectors means if two vectors, vector A and vector B, both have same magnitude but opposite in direction, then the vectors are said to be opposite to each other. A is opposite to B, B is opposite to A when they have same magnitude and opposite direction. Acha, one point you should mark here. कि in opposite vectors the angle between vector A and vector B is 180 degree. What is the angle between them is 180 degree. If two vectors are opposite to each other, then the angle between them is 180 degree. Okay, and in the equal vectors the angle between them is 0 degree. ठीक है ना? Suppose this is another vector C. So angle between A and C is 0 degree. Angle between A and B is 180 degree. Angle between B and C is also 180 degree. So opposite vectors have 180 degree with each other. Yeah, angle between them is 180, and like means equal vectors have 0 degree between them. Next, third type, कोप्लानर, या उससे पहले कोलिनियर भी हो सकता है. आप कोप्लानर देखो पहले. कोप्लानर vectors. Coplanar vectors are those vectors which are in the same plane. Which are in the same plane. Suppose this is the whiteboard is in the plane, is a plane, and many vectors we can draw. Many vectors we can draw. Vector A, vector B, vector A, vector B, vector C. Many vectors we can draw in this plane, in this board. So all these vectors are coplanar. Coplanar means the vectors which are in the same plane. Okay. Similarly, collinear vectors are those vectors which are along the same line or which are parallel to each other. Parallel to each other, it may have same magnitude also and different magnitude also. सेम मैग्नीट्यूड हो गया तो लाइक वेक्टर्स हो जाते हैं. सेम मैग्नीट्यूड एंड डायरेक्शन हो गए तो लाइक वेक्टर्स हैं, या कह दो उसे इक्वल वेक्टर्स हैं. एंड इफ द वेक्टर्स आर इन पैरेलल बट हैविंग द डिफरेंट मैग्नीट्यूड, से दे आर कॉल्ड कोलिनियर वेक्टर्स. ठीक है ना, कोलिनियर वेक्टर्स. सो सिमिलरली मेनी वेक्टर्स आर देयर. कोइनिशियल वेक्टर्स. कोइनिशियल मींस इफ द वेक्टर्स आर इनिशिएटिंग विद द सेम पॉइंट. Vector A and vector B, they are coinitial vectors. If they are starting with the same point, coinitial vector. Next देखो, position vector. Position vector. Position vector is the vector which represents the position of a body at an instant of time t. ठीक है. Suppose with respect to this origin O, with respect to origin O, and body is moving, suppose xy in xy plane. Now this is the xy plane. Body is here at point A at an instant of time t. So this vector you can mark here OA vector, O to A. So this is OA vector. OA vector is the position vector of the body which is at A at an instant of time t. Instant of time t पर अगर body A पर है, so OA vector represents here its position vector. Position vector of a body represents two things. It informs you about the two information. First, what is its direction, means this theta from x-axis, or you can find it from the y-axis also. So it gives the direction, and it also represents here the straight distance, या कह दो the distance of the body from this reference point O. So again repeating, position vector of the body represents the position of the body at an instant of time t, and it gives you the two informations about the body, कि what is its direction with respect to origin and what is the distance of the body with respect to origin. So distance and direction representing both, so it is called position vector, representing by OA vector, or simply you can mark here, suppose this is P, OA length is P, so you can mark here P vector also. OA vector or P vector, it is called the position vector of object at point A at an instant of time t. Next type, displacement vector. Displacement vector. Again, suppose with respect to this origin, at an instant of time t, body is at A, and after time delta t, it is at new position B, t plus delta t time per, it is at now B. So this is the displacement AB. AB is the displacement, and displacement vector here, displacement vector is AB. Displacement vector is AB. It is equal to final position minus initial position vectors. Final position vector is OB vector. Final position vector is OB vector minus initial position vector, it is OA vector. So final position minus initial position vectors gives you the displacement vector AB. And AB here, AB vector represents, it gives you information about the body, it is moving in which direction and how much. Direction and displacement both. Okay? So this is called the displacement vector. क्या है displacement vector? Displacement vector is the vector which gives the displacement of the body in given time t, in given time interval delta t. और ये फिर से मार्क कर लो कि displacement vector of a given body informs you two things. First, in which direction it is moving, in which direction it is displaced, and how much displaced. Both information is in this vector, that is AB vector. Next very important type is there, that is unit vector. Unit vector. See what is unit vector? Unit vector is the vector which has its magnitude unit and it has direction along a given vector. Suppose this is the given vector A, this is the given vector A, and another vector B is also directed along the same direction as of A. B is also directed along the direction of A, and suppose the magnitude of vector B is 1. Magnitude of vector B is 1, so B is called unit vector of A. B is called unit vector of A vector. So draw the unit vector of A vector. So we should draw a vector along the given vector with unit magnitude, and unit vector is represented by, suppose B cap, suppose A cap representing. A cap means unit vector of A, and it is equals to vector A divided by magnitude of vector A. This is the formula for unit vector. A cap, क्या पढ़ेंगे इसे? ए के ऊपर ऐसे मार्क कर दिया, कैप टोपी पहना दी, सो इट इज ए कैप। ए कैप रिप्रेजेंट्स यूनिट वेक्टर ऑफ ए वेक्टर, इट इज इक्वल टू वेक्टर ए डिवाइडेड बाय इट्स मैग्नीट्यूड। वेक्टर ए के मैग्नीट्यूड को वेक्टर में डिवाइड करोगे, सो इट गिव्स यू यूनिट वेक्टर ऑफ ए। ओके, अच्छा यहाँ पे इस साइन का मतलब समझ लो। दिस साइन इज कॉल्ड मॉडुलस, मॉडुलस ऑफ ए वेक्टर। मॉडुलस ऑफ ए वेक्टर, दिस इज मॉडुलस। मॉडुलस ऑफ ए वेक्टर is representing here the magnitude of vector A. Modulus A vector is equal to A. It means modulus of vector A is equal to the magnitude of vector A. ऐसे लिखा है तो this is the magnitude of vector A. And simply अगर A vector लिखा है तो this is the complete vector A. This is vector A and this is magnitude of A. So how you will get the magnitude of, how you will represent the magnitude of vector A? With modulus sign. With modulus sign it gives you the magnitude. So see here, what is the unit vector? Unit vector of a given vector is equal to the ratio of vector to the magnitude of the vector. So this is the unit vector. So this is sufficient for today's class. This is the first class for this chapter number 4. So first of all you should understand what we have studied today. Try to understand, this is new for you, so try to understand this vector quantities, their types, and further we will see some more concepts to understand this topic, that is vectors. Okay, so for watching this video, thank you very much and God bless you. Keep learning, keep studying. Thank you.